Hi, welcome to this video where I talk a bit about the history and where we've come from to get where we are. And it's a kind of very checkered history, if you like. I've got a few dates here if you can read my left-handed scroll. But predating this, there was a battle between two guys, an American called Ancel Keys, who believed that fat was the devil, and an Englishman called John Ludkin. He believed that sugar was the problem that caused all the heart disease. Unfortunately, the Americans sided with their own, and Ancel Keys was a very aggressive man, and he would literally steamroll anybody who opposed his views. Ludkin fell into disrepute, only to be resurrected his books in the 90s, and he is now hailed as the, being right, and Ancel Keys is somewhat consigned to the history books as being a dodgy researcher, to say the least. So if we look back, 1963, massive study, 9,000 people, the biggest study ever conducted in history, the likes of which can never be done again, because this was done in institutions in Minnesota where they could control the diet. Half of the population had saturated fats, half of the population had oils, so-called healthy oils, the polyunsaturated oils in their diet. The research findings did not surface until 1979. The reason being is that the researchers were disappointed in the outcome. The outcome, to break it down simply, was that yes, the people on the healthy oils, their cholesterol was lower, but their rate of death from cardiovascular disease and heart attack went through the roof, whereas overall health of the fat-eating people improved dramatically. This was very important. Even in 1979, once it was published in an obscure journal, and it disappeared because it didn't suit the thinking of the time, which was, we need low fat, we need to count our calories, etc. 2015, another group of researchers found these studies. They dived deeper, they were able to extrapolate more data, and simply they were able to completely prove what had already been proven, that it's not fat that causes heart disease. There's no scientific connection to heart disease with saturated fats, and that the big problem are the oils and carbohydrates. They were able to extract more from the diet through information. A little bit further down the track, 2015, also the American Heart Association quietly, very quietly, dropped any reference to limiting dietary cholesterol raising foods. When questioned afterwards, they admitted that, well, there wasn't really any science there, but it seemed like a good idea. 30 years of having people cut down on butter and seafood and all sorts of things, and then a whole generation of drugs and cholesterol lowering foods was a load of rubbish. They no longer make that recommendation. The next year, they did something else. They stopped referring to low-fat diets as being the way forward. They just look at dietary patterns now. They like to refer to dietary patterns, whatever that means. What that means is they don't want to say anything, but they're no longer saying that you need to eat a low-fat diet, because they know they're wrong, and they know that it's going to come back to bite them legally at some point in the future. Currently now, there are 8 major peer-reviewed studies that well-versed studies that are showing that a high-fat diet does not contribute to cardiovascular disease, and in fact it's the healthiest way to go, and carbohydrate is the problem. Just tacking on the end of that, something I learned just recently from an orthopedic surgeon from the States who has been experimenting with low-fat diets with her patients, is that they're now seeing that carbohydrates, we know they raise glucose, and we create what's called glycation end products. These are like toxic chemicals. They are able to infiltrate the spaces between the vertebrae and cause disc degeneration. Sugar and sugar-forming foods, such as your grains and potato, or your cakes and biscuits and pastas, they will degenerate your spine. And this is probably why so many people have back pain that is resolved when they go on a low-fat diet. So thank you. Just a little bit more information for you.